Hello, and welcome to the Intro to Computer Programming. I'm going to be giving these answers while I'm using the technologies I would use for the class. So I like the Screen-O-Matic just because, if you are doing any computer programming, you can actually bring up the screen and you can show exactly it is what you're talking about. This is one of my projects from my other class, so don't get scared. I mean, this is pretty involved, so it's nothing what I would be teaching in this class. The students that I will be teaching are in high school. Most will have already taken up to Algebra 2 or taking calculus. The students take this class as an elective or a small step into the technology field. This class would be a similar style to an intro web design or Photoshop class that you may have seen in high school. They are learning how to use logic and create solutions for small computational based problems. They will learn basic coding syntax and intro to programming styles. And there are a lot of programming terms that should be taught first to the class. So students have a lot to learn. I expected students will have fun in the class. Although the typing and thinking seem tedious, the lines of code are usually short, so it only requires a small boost of attention. Some of the projects in this class will be challenging, but in a rewarding way for the students. They will enjoy the success of properly executing the lines of code. And since the class just teaches the basics, I don't expect any poor results. Most students will handle the slow-paced teaching style and master everything the class expects. The more coding examples, the better the students will grasp on how to handle any computational problem. So the class will usually be a lecture, probably out in front of classroom, maybe with a smart board or projection so they can see the screen, maybe even something like this where they can see what I'm doing. The students will work on their own or in a group or sometimes as a class together to solve problems. You can either do it by programming or by handwriting. Of course, exams will be handwritten, so it's good to practice that also. So I will push the students to think quickly for solutions. We also want to include codingbat.com, which I have an example up over here. So I find codingbat is a very important part of the lesson plan. This class is a year long. We expect to do these sections probably every 2 weeks. So what codingbat is you have all these sections here, and each one of them there are smaller problems. So you have a warm up, and if you come in here, it's very simple as far as what it's asking. So if weekday is true, this weekday boolean would be true. If the parameter vacation is true, right here, then it just means that we're on vacation. So what we're supposed to be returning is, do we sleep in? So it asks, do we sleep in if it is not a weekday or we're on vacation? So a simple return statement will show if this is not a weekday and we're on vacation, or we're on vacation, return true, we sleep in. So of course the students would learn this, but it's very small, just coding lines just that they can practice. Some of them may seem a little bit more involved than others, and this is what the class is about, is learning how to handle these problems and to struggle sometimes, but to do them at your own pace. So each of these would probably take around 2 weeks for an entire year. It would really be advanced, as far as what it can handle towards the end. Some of these are more involved and won't be able to be solved by every student, but I want it to be a challenge, and I think that this is a great tool just to help the students learn and be used for the grade. A pretty cool aspect about this is that you can actually sign in and you'll send your results to a teacher. So as I have here, I'm logged in onto my teacher account, and you can see that Josh over here, the Gmail, he has done 4 of the warm-ups, which is shown here. So it's a good way to keep track of all the students' progress. You can go ahead and see how many that they've done. If the assignment for the day is they need to get 5 stars, every 3 problems is 1 star. So if they need to do 15 problems, then you can see that they did 15 here in the warm-up. So I think this would be good for the class. It'd be good for the teaching, just to understand and gauge where the students are at in their learning. Um, and the classroom itself is going to be pretty laid back. Like I said, it'd be a little lecture, a little, problem solving. But if a student can handle the work and does it on their own time, then the rest of the class is up to them. I expect most of the time to be used for the students who do struggle and need that extra help on the problem. So that's what I'm going to devote most of the time to. I will push each student to the best possible grade that they are capable of. Students cannot finish early unless they have a grade greater than 90. So it's all about really making sure that the students can grasp it and understand what's going on. Um, so I think that computers are the most important technology used, but so is the internet. So just doing a basic search into Google, do everything with Google. There's tons of resources about introduction to computer science and Java programming especially. You can see all of these books and publications about different Java files even to run, and these are just steps on how to build a project or assignments on your own. So I expect the internet to be a very important tool, and Google especially, for my students. In college we use Google a lot because if you can find your solution on Google, then you've done the thinking and progress enough to get to that solution. So I find that it'll be very important for the students. I don't expect students to code at home. The coding bat is a sense of homework, but of course they can do it in class, and I expect most of doing it in class. But students don't really need to download any kind of program at home. I have, this, which would be what I'd recommend in Eclipse, and Eclipse is nice because while you write, most of the stuff will write for you. Let's see if I can get to a little easier example here. So this is a little bit smaller, just basic programming, and you can see that these objects will light up, making it a little easier to see what's going on. So if students do download it on their own time, I expect them to probably use Eclipse, but it really isn't that important. I want this class to be laid back just because it's really involved, and it is an elective, so I expect students to do enough to be good at it, but also letting others put in extra time if they do want to and succeed. If I spend most of my time doing homework and grades, then there's no time for students to branch out on their own and learn more. So since it's introductory, I want to keep it's pretty simple so that all the students will be able to understand. I expect the students will learn very valuable skills for solving problems and how to work around computers faster and easier. I want them to learn what they are good at and the programming style. I myself have a unique programming style. I don't like doing shorthand. Every now and then I'll write a little bit longer line than it has to be, just so that I understand what's going on. So I expect these students to learn how they solve problems and how that reflects into their programming. So most of these students that in this class will be good at math and will be very bright, and I will push them so that they pursue a career in the technology field. But I want every student to take this class. I think that's going to be the hardest challenge, is convincing students of all variety to join the class. Not just math and science, but your arts and English and athletes. I think every student can succeed in this class. It's just about taking it and trying your best and seeing how you're able to handle the class. I will target the class by selling it as a fun elective. There is a lot of laid back time, so students will probably enjoy that part of it. There really won't be too much homework other than in-class projects and this coding bat, but I expect students to do very well in this class, and most of them that are in math should succeed very well. So type of resources I would be using would be coding bat, and I grabbed this from one of the lesson plans that my professor taught my freshman year, intro to programming. This is one of the things that we used actually when we were in our class. I'll go ahead and show example of what I was doing. Granted, this was just a 12-week course, so we're able to get everything. And also, I had a Python with it too, but you can see that I was able to get all the stars and do most of those projects. So I think that it's definitely a great tool to use for this type of class and intro to computer programming. There's tons of websites too and resources for students to use, such as this one, the New Boston. This is one of my favorite. You have these YouTube videos that essentially build a project.
Any errors, and here's our program right here. Enter first number. Let's do 34.6. Move my cursor out of the way. Press enter. Enter second number. 54.2. Press enter. It's going to give us our answer, 88.80001.
So with that example, I would expect students to follow the tutorial. It is copy and paste code, but to understand what's going on, and then maybe even add something else to it. So this simple program only adds. It only takes in 2 numbers and adds, but maybe I tell the student to tweak this a little bit so that it multiplies, or it takes in 3 numbers or 4 numbers, or just kind of go with the flow of how they're understanding it, because as a computer programmer, there's only a couple changes, but it's learning how and when to make that change. That's really that computer programming logic. It'll be hard, but I believe students will enjoy a class like this just because it is a challenging but rewarding opportunity. So I believe this class would be great for just about anybody, seniors especially, as they make their way into college, just to get a little taste of what they could be learning about. Thank you for listening to my lesson plan. I think that I answered all of the questions that were asked here. As far as technologies that I would use, though, I definitely believe Coding Bat, also this Eclipse program that I've used for myself, and the Screenomatic. I think this whole project was kind of new to me. I've never done a video before like this, so I believe with some practice I could actually be able to teach lessons while doing it. So once again, thanks for listening, and I enjoyed the classes here, Don. Thanks.